My guest is Monica Abbott, softball legend, starred collegiately at the University of Tennessee. She earned 17 championship titles during her softball career, two-time USA Olympian, four-time world champion, multiple MVP awards. Check this out. She pitched 23 NCAA Division I no-hitters, 6 perfect games. Like, that's cartoonish right there. She's a motivational speaker. She recently retired from pro softball, and she's got a new book coming out. It's called Rise and Shine, The Monica Abbott Story. It's available for pre-order now on Amazon.com. And you can follow her on social media. She's active on social media at Monica Abbott. Monica, it is a pleasure to have you on Sports Business Radio. How are you?
Oh, man. Thank you. I'm doing great. Like you said, recently retired. So I've found that I've got a lot more time on my hands these days.
Yeah. So, I mean, other than the book, I know you have a lot going on. We'll get into this, but I want to go back to like where it all started with you. At 5 years old, you said, I'm going to be an Olympian. You declared this to your family, supposedly.
Sort of. Yeah.
How do you go from that to like, you made it happen. Not everyone can say, I want to do this when I'm young and then turn it into what you turned it into.
Yeah. We had a school project and I was kind of doing a bunch of sports. Your parents put you in sports, and I had an older sister. So they try to put you on the same team, right? Like, so it's easier. And that was the thing. And I had a school report on Georgia, and I was just like, that was 96. It was an Olympic year. I learned about the Olympics, and I was like, hey, like, I'm going to go. And I had just started to like really like softball and pitching. And I was like, I'll be on the mound. You'll see me there. My mom like double dog dared me to put it in my state report, and, probably, got a new shirt or something if I got an A on the project. And I ended up getting an A and learned all about the Olympics. And 10 years later, I ended up pitching in the Beijing Games, and 10 years after that, the Tokyo Games.
I mean, that is just, talk about putting your mind to something and making it happen. Who were some of your inspirations, whether it's softball or non-softball, when you were growing up?
I think it's so cool these days because obviously female athletes are getting so much more publicity and more accessibility, right? Like, so you can find people on social media, you can find them on YouTube, you can find them on TV, right? You can even, depending on where you live, maybe see a women's game in person. But when I was growing up, it wasn't as accessible. So a lot of the people that I looked up to were people that were already in my league. It was like people a division older than me in my rec league, or these girls are on the 16 and under team, and they're doing really well. Like, I want to be like them. I remember there was a girl at my high school, she's 4 years older than me. Her name was Jennifer Deering, and she was a multi-sport athlete, an all-star. She pitched all these incredible games. She would be on the front page of the newspaper in softball, and she ended up going to Cal Berkeley on a softball scholarship. And I remember being like, wow, like, she's so cool. Like, this is awesome. Like, I want to be able to pitch like her, kind of, I want to be able to throw well and have a chance to be in the newspaper, But that's kind of, I looked up to the people in my area that were older than me. And then as softball started to get more publicity around the Olympics and things like that, then I started to see like, oh, like, who's Lisa Fernandez, who's Michelle Granger, and, who's Dot Richardson, some of the OGs in softball. Then I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'd already been pitching for a while, and I was like, wow, this is cool. There's other people that are good. So that's how I kind of found my softball role models. But I think whenever I saw another female athlete that was successful, like a Lisa Leslie, like a Cheryl Swoops, or a Rebecca Lobo, or a Misty May, like, when I saw the other athlete that were good, I instantly latched on to them, because I was like, wow, like, I want to be good like them. I want to carry myself like them.
Yeah, it makes sense. Let's talk about when you went to University of Tennessee. You, like I just said, starred there. I mean, set some incredible records that still stand today across all of collegiate sports, not just at Tennessee. What was it like being a college athlete? And again, women's sports, it wasn't quite where it is like today. We just watched the, Final Four for women's basketball, and it was an event. And when you were playing, it wasn't quite breaking down the barriers yet.
Yeah, I think women's sports has continued to grow. When I went to Tennessee, one of the things I loved about it is that Tennessee really supported female athletes. They had the Lady Ball logo. Their basketball program was really successful, right. And that transition to all their sports, right? And it was really great to be able to see, and it was exciting. So it made me want to help softball. It made me want to see the support that the women's basketball program was getting, and see, okay, like, this is possible, right? Like, it's possible for people to support women's sports. The basketball program gets this. Like, let's try to do it for softball. Like, why not? And that's kind of been my mindset through a lot of things. Like, why not softball? Why not me? Why not us?
Was Candace Parker there at the same time you were there?
Yes. So Candace and I are like around the same age. I think I'm actually 1 year older than her. But we actually, which is kind of cool story, we actually did some mentoring together with Coach Cathead Summit, Coach Summit, one-on-one, because at the time, I think our coaches recognized that we were both athletes that, impactful athletes on their program, and that it would be important for us to not only be good athletically, but how we were communicating with our team, how we were being leaders. Is super important.
Yeah.
So
Candace has been on this show,
and probably 5-10 sessions, and with Coach Summit. Yeah. And then I made her fall in love with softball, and she helped influence and bring our team together.
That's great. I was saying Candace has been on this show, and I'm just a huge fan of hers and everything that she's done in her career. So it's cool that you guys interacted and were there at the same time. I wasn't quite sure if that was the case.
Yeah, we were. Candace is incredible. I think what a tribute to female athletics. Like, she's done a great job to continuing her career. And I feel like she's almost gotten a second wind, right? Like, in this latter half of her basketball career, and seeing her on TV during the Final Four, right? Like, that was fun.
Yeah, super fun. Okay, so in softball, in the college level, what do you see are the biggest growth areas now? Like, you played a little bit ago. Now, when you watch it, what do you see as the differences, whether it's on or off the field?
I would say, I think the biggest impact is obviously, it's kind of the things that we talk about. It's information, technology, right? And just visibility. So when I was in college, when I was growing up, college wasn't on, softball wasn't on TV. When I was in college, it was like the first era of softball on, like, the entire Women's College World Series, some league games, having TV exposure. But now, I think as TV exposure has grown, you can tell that the athletes have been able to see other college softball players and kind of like modeled themselves after them. And as you get more information, as you get more visibility, it grows, right? It grows, and it becomes a vibrant community. And I think that the media, the TV, the social, the personalities in the game, all of that has started to blossom and grow. And it's created a really vibrant community within college softball, which is so fun to be a part of, and so, to watch on TV and to be around. So it's cool. It's really cool.
I think you would have cleaned up with name, image, and likeness. I mean, I've had so many athletes on, at Leinert, Candace, people who are like, oh yeah, NIL had been I was playing.
Oh my gosh. Can you believe it? Like NIL, like that would have been killer. Like that would have been great. These ladies so lucky to have name, image, likeness available to them and the things that they're able to do. Like, woo!
Yeah.
Awesome. Like we were over here trying to live off books money and save our per diem, and like now they got full on smoothie bars and stuff at every campus, and getting free meals with an NIL deal. So I absolutely love seeing it. It's such a cool turn for women, for all sports, men's or women's. Yeah, so I like it.
Pro softball for women. You played for a number of years. Without getting into exact details, I think it's interesting for our audience. Like, can you earn a decent living doing that? Do you have to, like some of the WNBA players, like you got to go play another season somewhere else to supplement the income? What kind of earning potential did you have as a pro softball player?
So it kind of depends a little bit on a couple things. And it'll be interesting to see. You mentioned the NIL. I think it'll depend a little bit about, you have these personalities in softball right now that are, obviously making money that pros make. Some pros probably don't make.
Wow.
And how that transfers over to women's professional softball. I was able to make a living playing softball because I went overseas. I've done a huge amount of like camps, clinics, and events all across the country. I did things like run practices and help organize organizations and, did sponsorships and things like this. So for a softball player professionally, and, you almost have like 3 or 4 or 5 different sources of income that make it doable to live. And then you play for a moderate amount that supports your other hustles that you do. And you can make a nice living doing it. I was able to go, and then if you have an opportunity to play overseas or then you can obviously, maximize even more, which was what I was able to do. But I do think doing the off-season education camps, clinics, retreats, I was able to do motivational speaking. So people do one-on-one coaching or work with club organizations, and they're able to make a good living doing that as well as, whatever softball, baseball companies that they can work with. So is it a full-time great career yet? No, you got to have a couple things you're doing, but it is a great lifestyle.
Yeah. You played over in Japan professionally.
Yes.
What was that experience like? Totally different culture, I assume, different kind of fans. Like, what was that like for you?
Playing in Japan was surprisingly, like, you go over there, you're American, like, you're kind of like, am I going to like all this seafood, all these different culture? But honestly, like, it was incredible. I had the time of my life playing for Toyota and playing overseas. I learned so much about myself. I mean, I learned so much about myself. I learned about the game. I had to kind of like take on what they were doing and what was making them successful and mold it to myself as an American, and be willing to change, right? To have that growth mindset and be willing to change and evolve to be successful in their league, but also to be successful here in the United States with what I was good at as an American. I can't change who I am and how I grew up and the things that I, am good at, but I can evolve them and mold them to make myself successful overseas or in the States. And that's what I like to think I did or was able to do.
You got to represent your company in the Olympics. Very few people get to do that. We kind of talked about that earlier. That was one of your dreams.
Yeah.
What's it like putting that USA across your uniform and, pitching at the level that you got to pitch at?
Yeah. You know, the Olympics is such like a fun thing. I think you learn about it and you watch it and people get excited, right? But then I feel like so many people dream about it, but when it actually happens that you can actually play in the Olympic Games, it's almost humbling to be
Mm,
honest. It's humbling and a little bit like, wow, like I'm actually here. This is happening. Like, wow, is this me? Are you sure you want me to wear this? And you get like that imposter syndrome. You really do. You're like, I don't deserve this. Like someone else, there's a lot better. I mean, I would tell myself, there's so many better pitchers out there. Why are they picking me? Like, and then you kind of step into the game, you step into the arena and you're like, okay, like I'm here and they did choose me. They picked me. I competed for it too. And not only that, but now like I have like the support of all those faces I saw, teaching in the stands. I have the support of community. I have a support of multiple communities and people that in a country. Like I need to wear this well. Like I need to give them something to be proud of, something that is going to make their day better, their day brighter, and make them want to wear USA across their chest today proudly as well. So that was kind of how I felt about it. It was an incredible experience. And again, like I'm so humbled to be able to be one of the few that have been able to wear USA in the Olympic Games.
I know other Olympians I've had on have talked about the camaraderie that was built with the other athletes in other sports in the
Oh
Olympic
yeah.
Village. What was that like for you?
It's fun. I think the Olympic Village is fun because there is so many other athletes around. And a lot of times, athletes love sports. So we're all watching sports, right? So we become fans of other people,
Right.
and we're like, oh, you're da-da-da-da-da-da-da," and they all know you too, because obviously they watched you as well and they're excited for your success. So just the energy, the vibe within the Olympic Village across every country and sport is so cool. Um, you'll be walking in the cafeteria and then, Yao Ming walked in like, whoa, like you're big, you're tall, or like I think, Katie Ledecky walks past you, in the treatment area or, all the different people. So it's really cool to see and it's fun. It's fun because you get to meet other athletes. You get to see a ton of different body types, right?
Hmm.
Um, and how it really shows that, no matter what body type you have or what you look like, you can probably be good at a sport. You can be successful at a sport. It just depends on which one you choose. I'm probably not going to be a gymnast, but someone else might be.
All right. So I want to talk to you about that. I've always wanted to ask someone like you this question, like the difference between a softball pitch and a baseball pitch.
Okay.
And if my research tells me you have the Guinness Book of World Records for the fastest softball pitch at 77 miles an hour.
Whoop, whoop.
I mean, and you're 6'3", right?
I am, yes.
I mean, so that's, if I see 77 coming at me from someone 6'3", that's intimidating.
Yeah. Yeah. I throw hard. I throw the ball hard. 77 was my fastest, but I swear I hit it. I probably got to like 79 or even faster at times, but we just didn't always have a radar gun or have it documented. But yeah, probably on average, I threw like between 73 to 75. It comes fast. And you know what it is? It's the reaction time, right? Like it's the hitter's reaction time. So they basically have to choose. A hitter has to pick like, hey, am I going to swing for an outside pitch or am I going to swing for an inside pitch? And so that's, I feel like the strategy against that. But softball, it's fun. It's closer. It's, you release low at the hip, whereas baseball, they kind of release over the top, the shoulder. But, there's some tall baseball pitchers. A lot of them are like in the 6-foot club or plus. So
Yeah.
I think
Randy
it's a
Johnson.
trend. Yeah, Randy, of course. I met him once in the airport. I got like fangirled hard, like so hard. If he's listening to this, I'm so sorry I followed you through the Atlanta airport. But I was like I was so shocked. And honestly, I was surprised no one else was following you too.
Wait, did he ever talk to you, or you just like kind of followed him through the airport?
Followed him through the airport.
Oh, we got to make
and then finally, like, he was trying to power walk away from me, and I knew it because obviously I've done that before, like just a time or two. And so like it was like a speed. All of a sudden, it was like an Olympic race walk, Atlanta D gate, and finally he hit a dead end. Just had to like face me. I was like, "Hi, I'm so sorry. I know you're trying to get away from me. I'm a huge fan."
Did he talk to you? Did he say anything? Or
yeah, no, he was super nice. And we took a picture, and I was like, "I'm a softball pitcher." I was like, but at this point, I was like 10 years a professional, like into my professional career. Like I wasn't young, like I knew better. I just couldn't help myself.
That's cool. I think we all have those people that we admire and stuff, but that's a great story.
Yeah, no, he was great. I obviously like tagged him on social, and he messaged me back and everything. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, okay, I'm sorry." Like but he was really cool about it. And yeah,
that's a neat story.
A fun story.
So, okay, the reaction time is shorter because the pitcher and the batter are closer in softball. It's more of a flat, fast pitch in softball, whereas in baseball, you can come from elevated, and you can come. I mean, someone like Randy Johnson, 6'11", like it's really elevated, and the angle that you can come at.
The arm angle, right? Like coming down. It's like probably for like 6-footers in baseball, standing on an elevated surface, you're almost like downhill skiing, right? Like the angle that you can create.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that is, if you're familiar with my pitching motion, like I start kind of low, and I have this unique pitching style that's now kind of become a trend. But one of the things that's difficult in softball for pitchers to understand is like, because we're on a flat surface, we have to create our own momentum, right? Like we have to create our own momentum off of the mound, and we have to be able to create leg drive and power through that momentum. And so then when what we get is we need that momentum and leg drive and leg power off of our flat surface, is because we need to create ground force when we land. And that's just a front side stability. In baseball, they're able to they instantly get ground force because they're landing on a hill, right?
Right.
They're to flat ground off of a hill. So they instantly create a ground force with their front leg. In softball, we have to create the ground force by our momentum and drive off of the mound. Sorry, that went technical, but
I love it. I mean, are you kidding me? Like I'm tapping into one of the greatest softball pitchers ever in minds. Like I can listen to this all day. Do you have any movement on your pitch, or is that pretty fast and flat?
So I was known for my rise ball, which is definitely a softball pitch. Breaks up. I have a changeup, a curveball. I was like a rising curveball pitcher, basically. And then I had a pretty good changeup that I developed a little bit later in my career. I didn't have a changeup when I was in college. And then I threw a little bit of a drop ball. But I'm mostly rise curve and then a supporting changeup.
So how fast is a changeup? So fastball 77, 79. Yeah. How fast is a changeup?
General rule of thumb is you want to be about 10 to 15 miles an hour slower than your fastball.
Wow.
But for me, if you're throwing, the thing is when you're throwing in the 70s, a lot of pitchers in softball average speed 63 to 63, 64. So if I'm only taking 10 to 12 miles an hour off, I'm right in that good hitting speed, right? All of a sudden my changeup's like 60, 63, right? Like that's what hitters want to hit. So I had to learn the reason I struggled learning a changeup is because I was throwing so hard. I had to learn how to take like 20 miles an hour off of my changeup. So and make it look like nobody knew it was coming.
Wow.
Like that's hard.
That is hard. That's really hard.
Yeah.
I saw a video once of Jenny Finch striking out Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Have you ever faced a Major League Baseball hitter? Do you think you could strike out a Major League Baseball hitter?
Of course. Bring it on, boys. No.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. That was such a cool video that Jenny did, like so awesome and so much notoriety, but also want to give props to the hitter, right? Like the baseball hitter for having the guts to do it. I mean, he probably gets asked about that a lot, like, but thank you. Thank you for having the guts and enjoying and being like having fun with the game, right? I think baseball and softball are such similar sports. They're brothers and sisters, whether we want to admit it or not, like they're similar sports. So props to him as well for stepping in the box.
What's the growth potential for softball, not only here in America, but like where you played in Japan, just globally? What's the growth potential?
I think the growth potential is huge. I actually think the growth potential in America is really big in the professional aspect, especially college. Now that the NIL has come out, you're going to come up with a lot of fans that are fans of a certain athlete, right? They're fans of a Kiki Malloy at Tennessee. They're fans of, a Montana Fouts at Alabama or a Charlotte Eccles at Florida. They're fans of certain athletes, and those fans are going to translate to the pros, right? And so as we develop more fan bases with the NIL in college of these certain athletes, then hopefully those fans transfer to those girls as they go pro and those girls' professional teams. I really foresee the professional aspect in the United States is exponential. It's going to continue to grow and build, and I can't wait till it does because I know it's going to be the coolest thing on earth.
Would you ever have aspirations to be involved in forming a professional league in America?
Yeah, I would for sure consider being involved in the professional league in any way that I could help. Yeah, of course. Of course.
All right. We got your next role there. I mean, I can't think of anyone better than you to be involved in growing that here.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been around a couple of different pro leagues.
Exactly. Tell me about your book. So you write the book.
It's
coming out. Why'd you write it? And what did you want people to take away when they read it?
Yeah. So I wrote Rise and Shine, the Monica Abbott Story. It's it's like a little less than 200. I think it's 150.
Okay.
150, 160 pages. I wrote it because while I was a professional, I did all those camps and clinics and events, and I was out there in the public teaching and educating girls on softball, but also started to realize the impact that I was having on them, right? Like the motivation, the inspiration, them seeing me in a different light than just as a teacher. And I thought, as my career went on, I started to realize like, wow, like I have a career, I've had a softball career that not many people have had yet, right? Have had yet. There's going to be another one, and I can't wait till the next one comes, but not that haven't had it quite yet. So I wanted to be able to share my story and what it took and what I did, right? Like if I could line it out for that 12-year-old, the 15-year-old on some of the different experiences that I have had and some of the challenges, right? Because it wasn't all easy. It wasn't all pretty. There was some tough moments too. And what I did to help me get through those, I thought it would be so important to be able to share. what's cool about the book is that I feel like it kind of reaches a couple different audiences because as it goes through my career, it talks about the beginning of my, your youth, how you got started. And then there's a big component on Tennessee, which is where I went to college, and those really like formatting years, right? Like those college years are so forming for you. And then it talks about, the 2008 Olympics, the Tokyo 2020, 2021 Olympics. And then it talks about my professional career, both for Toyota when I went overseas, but my professional career in the United States. And the one part that I think can really resonate with a lot of people out there, especially the older crowd, is there's a piece in it about women's empowerment, because throughout my career, I feel like I was kind of at the forefront of that women's movement. And it's been a theme throughout my professional career, especially with the $1 million contract and different aspects like that. So I wanted to bring that to light in the book as well. And so, yeah, that's what kind of like the chapters in the book, and hopefully it inspires the next great American softball player.
I'm sure it will. Sure it will. I know we have just a few minutes left. I had John Smoltz on, baseball pitcher, not so long ago, and we talked about specialization in sports, where coaches are saying you can only play football, you can only play basketball, you can only play baseball or softball, you can only play golf. He doesn't think it's good. I don't either. What are your thoughts on specialization, just playing one sport, playing it year round?
I think I'm not a huge fan of it. I think kids, athletes, young athletes, they need to be well-rounded. It's important for them to have a break, right? Like from the sport that they're playing, so they don't burn out. And I really believe in playing another sport for like just physical development, right? Doing different athletic movements that then can transfer to your other sport. I do think it's important as you go into high school to kind of realize, hey, like what sport, especially by your sophomore, junior year, to like, hey, what sport am I the most serious about? Like, especially if you have collegiate dreams, Olympic dreams, professional dreams. Hey, what sport am I most serious about? Okay, I can play basketball too, but softball is my main sport. Like, and to be able to recognize that, hey, I can do football, but baseball is my main sport. So knowing kind of that balance, I do think that helps athletes develop for the next phase of their athletic career at the next level. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, last question for you.
Sure.
We've talked about your career. You got the book out. I know you do motivational speaking. When you're just having fun and you're unwinding, what do you like to do?
Oh man. Well, I think everyone these days loves to watch, like binge watch, right? Like binge watch Netflix.
What's your show?
Whatever's in the top 10.
Oh, on Netflix?
Check out my top 10, but no, I mean, there's so many good ones. So that, and then, what else do I like to do? That's it. I've been really into cooking lately, trying out the piece. So
do you have a go-to?
Yeah. So I do like a vegetable pasta that's pretty good. And enchiladas. I perfected my enchilada recipe. So that's great. Yeah, those are my two right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Monica Abbott has a new book coming out, Rise and Shine, the Monica Abbott Story. It's available for pre-order on Amazon.com. You can follow her on social media at Monica Abbott, and you can visit her website at monicaabbott.com. This is a pleasure, Monica. I have admired your work from afar for a long time. You are just a legend, and it's exciting to see you go into this next phase of your life, and continued success to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thanks for having me.